Hello everybody, welcome back to the Snake Pit. I'm Snake and I'm here with another video on the individual hero breakdowns for War Defense. Very excited today because today I'm doing the first fire hero of the bunch. Many more to come, but I want to make sure that I'm keeping it pretty even going through the elements. So we're due for a fire hero and I have selected Elizabeth. Elizabeth is a fascinating hero. She came out, she was one of the first ones in season 4 to be released. In fact, as soon as season 4 came out, she was one of the first heroes that were featured. She's also the first hero that will cast out fiends. So that was pretty exciting, and it's pretty effective too. So in this video, I'm going to go through a little bit about what makes Elizabeth tick, what makes her a great hero, and then we'll take a look and see what how teams perform with Elizabeth in the lineup. Before we get started, I'm very proud to say I've got 278 followers as of today when I'm making up this video. I'm so happy to have so many of you that are following along. And my commitment to you is that I'm going to keep pushing stuff out because obviously many of you want this. So if you haven't subscribed, do so and then hit that bell so that you know when I've got new heroes out. And of course, I've got many other topics that I'm working on as well. So you don't want to miss it. And of course, I take the good with the bad. So if leave me a comment if there's something that you don't like, don't agree with, that's fine too. I'm open to all perspectives on this. But for those that are new, these numbers that I'm going to throw at you are what really happened. So I'm not making this up. I'm not trying to make one hero look better than another. I'm just giving you the facts of how teams did with these heroes in there and a little bit of insight on why heroes do well or don't do well in certain positions and certain war types. So let's quickly get into it now that I've gotten through that. Elizabeth. So she is, like I said, a season 4 hero. She summons fiends. She's average mana speed, and her stats are fairly balanced. Her one of the effects, of course, is the direct damage, and it's pretty weak. Actually, it's 175% damage to all enemies. That's not strong, but that's okay because where the real oomph comes from is with her spider fiends. So these spider fiends, don't think of these as a secondary part to her special because there is some real destructive things going on here. So let's look at the first thing. So it's a spider fiend that's summoned for all enemies. All right, and they suck up healing to be equal to 28% of the owner's max health. So already that's going to hurt a little bit because they can't be healed until that much has been absorbed. And of course, it's the fiend that takes it. It's not the hero. So it delays the healing. It also does damage. So any enemy that has a fiend is going to take 43% attack every turn. Every turn. It doesn't seem like much, but to put this in perspective, Baldur does 165% damage to one enemy every turn. So Elizabeth, if she casts out 5 of them, she's totaling out at 215% as opposed to the 175. And they're there, that damage keeps going as long as those fiends are there. So even if Elizabeth dies, that damage is still going to be inflicted. So that is pretty awesome. And then lastly, the biggest crushing blow that she delivers with these fiends is the minus 24% mana generation reduction that is applied to each of those enemies that has a fiend. And just to give you an idea of how crippling that really is, I'm going to show you a chart. I just threw the numbers up And I want you to take a look at this. So on the left, you're going to see all the regular um, mana speeds, right? So your baseline mana speeds for very fast down to very slow, and the number of tiles it takes for you to charge up to 100%. So very fast, 6.5, all the way to 13.5 for very slow. Now look at what happens with minus 24% mana generation. That reduction changes a very fast hero to become between average and fast. A average hero is now slower than very slow. So, and then a very slow hero, it's taking 18 tiles as opposed to those 13.5. That is, good luck getting charged up at that point. And what's great about this mana generation reduction is that it's there for as long as those fiends are there. So it could go on the whole time if you don't bring healers. So this really turns the tide. So you think you're bringing, an attacker may think they're bringing, just for instance, a Clarissa or a Gravemaker at very fast. And then Elizabeth goes off, and now that very fast hero that doesn't have an extremely impactful special is now average and is not going to go off as often. So this is a key part to the defense is it's delaying a lot of these specials coming at you. So that is the bulk of what Elizabeth is about. So I think now let's go and take a look and see how these skills are applied and how they work out for teams using Elizabeth. All right, Arrow Barrage is the first one, first war type up. Again, 31.8% is the average survivability rate for this war type. If you don't know what that is, go back and see my first video about the year-long war study, and I explain it there. And there's also actually a separate video altogether that I did to rehash out exactly what survivability rate is and how it's calculated. But so the yellow triangle in the center, of course, is the average survivability rate for that war during this 1 year period. And the blue is going to be Elizabeth. And as we see this right now, Elizabeth is soaring at tank, average on flank, and is an excellent choice at wing. Now, at tank, I want to draw your attention to it. It's 46.2%. It is way above the average. However, it was only used 6 times during my war study. So I didn't rank it because it is a low occurrence rate. Anything can happen with this. I suspect it might come down. I could be wrong though. The problem is that the meta wasn't having a red tank at the time. Mostly dark, and even at the start of it, it was more blue and green. So reds are taking over now, and I'm hoping that I'm going to see a lot more occurrences. But for now, this is what I've got, and used 6 times and done very well. I think that why this does, teams with Elizabeth do well in Arrow Barrage, is if you recall my Arrow Barrage video, teams that had healers towards the center did better than other ones, and it was, my theory is that it buys time for the arrows to do the work, and then the wings would just clean up once the other team was getting low. Elizabeth will do the same kind of thing with that mana generation reduction. She is causing those specials to come a lot slower rate. So she's also helping buy the time. So in a sense, she's acting like those healers and also providing damage. So it could very well be that she's just an awesome tank to have in this case. And I think this is why that works. So overall, not a bad choice for Arrow Barrage. Let's move to Attack Boost. Attack Boost, 27.6%. That's the yellow triangle. And what we see here is going to be a typical line on the bottom for a lot of these war types for Elizabeth. So she's really, really strong at flank. I didn't get any data here at tank. Again, the reason for this is not a lot of people were running red tanks at the time. It just didn't happen. I'm not going to make up numbers. But on flank, did excellent. 31.4%. Ranked 7 out of 70 different heroes that were used at least 10 times in that spot. And as we can see, she was used 49 times. That's pretty solid. I don't think that number is going to move very much from that spot. So she is an excellent hero to be using at the flank. Not so much on the wing. And we're going to see this. And I think that the reason for this in most war types is that you need her to fire if she's going to be effective. On the wing, she is not going to fire off until later. So you've allowed that other team to get away with their regular mana without the reduction, without having to get their heals taken from them and everything. She's average, remember. She needs to get hit with some tiles before she goes off. So we're going to see this a lot. Look at that bottom blue line. That's going to form the triangle or just be as it is right now through most of these. Let's go now to Undead Horde. Again, that looks very similar. Again, she's very effective. Teams are very effective with her on the flank. Fifth out of 76 heroes that were used at least 10 times. She's very, very effective in that spot. Again, on the wing, not so much. And I do think, again, that it's because she doesn't have the time to go off, which means that her skills are not going to be effective by herself. She's not strong enough to do any quick deaths, and so she needs to be engaged much earlier in the fight, which means you need to put her at tank or flank. Again, no occurrences at tank. I wish there was more. I know I'm going to get more. In fact, I do have more as I work on version 2. And we'll see where she ends up after. For Equalizer, okay, once again, the flank is super strong. Wing, not so much. And tank, we actually have a few occurrences. We got 9. It's almost at my cutoff, almost at 10. But I didn't rank it again. And at flank, look at that. She's actually first out of 72. She is the best flank of all heroes up to this point in Equalizer. And there's a few reasons why I think this happens. For one, Elizabeth, she casts fiends on the attackers, and just like minions, they are not removed by the Equalizer when that gets engaged. So they continue to absorb healing. They continue to cause damage every turn. The one thing that they don't do though, so that mana ailment, once Equalizer goes off, it gets removed. This kind of brings me back to one thing I want to explain about one of her effects on her card. And the exact reading of that is the Spider Fiend gives minus 24% mana generation for its owner for as long as the owner has Spider Fiends. This effect cannot be cleansed. And it is extremely confusing, and I think it's poorly written, because if that mana generation has been prevented, so let's say Grazul or take your pick. There's quite a few that are going to give an immunity. It won't get applied when the Spider Fiends are put on that hero. And once that immunity is gone, it doesn't reappear. So it's almost as if that mana generation is just cast when the Spider Fiends are cast and then that's it. If it sticks, it sticks. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Once it's removed, it doesn't come back on the next turn, which I think it should, given that it says as long as the owner has Spider Fiends. But I digress. It's not going to be there, but these fiends will continue to do the damage portion of that special, and also so absorb the healing. So when we look at this, I think that's why she's effective. Only that one part gets removed. The rest of it carries on and doesn't get wiped out like ailments, stacks, buffs, those kind of things. So she did really well at tank. Like I said, only used 9 times. If I had dropped my minimum cutoff for ranking from 10 to 9 just to allow this, Elizabeth would actually be 5th at tank out of 29 heroes. So again, she's not used often, but when she is doing an incredible job at tank. I'd love to hear if there's people that regularly use her at tank. It looks like she's excellent there. And flank, of course, she's number 1. She's excellent in this Equalizer war type. Let's go to rush now. And so the triangle, the yellow one, of course, denotes the rush averages. The survivability rate for teams with Elizabeth do extremely well on flank and wing. No data at tank. It's a shame. I'd love to see what would come out of this. And I know what most people are thinking, because she's an average hero. How is she doing so well? Well, remember the chart that I showed you at the start of this video when I was covering her card, and we talked about what that mana generation reduction does. Think of all those, because every hero on the attacking team and defending team are all very fast. Well, not after Elizabeth fires off those Spider Fiends, and especially if they don't get cleaned off or healed to disappear. All the attackers will now, instead of being very fast, are now between average and fast. This is a huge benefit to the defending team. So wherever Elizabeth has been used, so in flank and wing, has exceeded incredibly compared to the rest. And that's because I think that mana generation reduction. The other big reason that Elizabeth does well in rush is that she is of the monk class. And if fully emblemed, she'll have 30% chance to resist ailments. And one of those ailments is mindless attack from Alfreich. So she might withstand that. And that's why she may do very well here, because we know it's loaded up with Alfreichs. I don't think a lot of people realize that the monk class can actually help you out on this, and at least almost a third of the time resist that effect from Alfreich. So I think that's another reason why she's key here. All right, let's look at the overall. So we saw quite a few of the outside of the arrow barrage, where she did actually a little bit well on the wing. Wing, she's average. Okay, a little bit on the low side though. So I do not think that's the best placement. So I would keep her away from there, because you need her to go off. So she needs to get hit with some tiles, and she can't be going off at the end. She's best at tank and flank. We see this right here on the chart. Tank, she hasn't been used much during this study, but I am getting more data on it. It still looks positive. She is a great tank. She is a fantastic flank. So if you do have Elizabeth, those are the places I recommend you use her. If you absolutely have to put her on the wing because of how your alliance has called out where the colors need to be, she's still not a bad choice. We're going to get into some other ones that are going to be better choice to put there for reds, especially in certain war types, but it's flank and tank where you want to put her. Okay, so that's it. We covered all the war types with Elizabeth. I hope that you've learned something. I hope that maybe if there's some parts that you haven't considered about her special that makes her so effective, and even her class that makes her a good choice to use, against Alfreich and Rush. There's many situations that this will be useful as well. So, great hero, excellent at tank, excellent at flank, and on the wing she's kind of average. So know where to put her, and then this can also help you identify teams that may have misplaced her, where she might not be so scary. So if you find her on the wing, let's say for Undead Horde, it's a good chance she's not going to be as much of a threat as if she was on the flank. Anyways, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I will be bringing you many more heroes very shortly. And again, give me a like if you like this. If you learned something, that's great. That's my whole point of doing these videos. So until next time, I'm Ssnake, and I'm here to help you defend yourself.